Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Hand in Hand Academy's 8th webinar on mitigating vulnerability, microinsurance at the bottom of the pyramid. Coping with risks such as health problems, crop failure, loss of livestock, or death of a family member, loss of an asset, income and employment is much harder on poor people and lower income groups. Many poor households involve themselves in activities that are of very small scale, but have a higher degree of risk and uncertainty associated with them. We're going to be talking about microinsurance today and how the risk for this population at the bottom of the pyramid can be mitigated. And we have a lineup of very eminent panelists, both practitioners in the industry and experts. And I'm very pleased to introduce them and welcome them to the session today. So first we have Mr. Samir Bali. He's an insurtech and management consulting professional with more than 25 years of experience across management and digital consulting, deal finalization, and management of large-scale business setup and transformation engagements in the financial sector space. In his last corporate position, he was the consulting lead for the financial services practice and the lead for the insurance at Accenture in India. He earlier established the insurance consulting practice in India for KPMG and then at Ernst & Young. He has a management degree from IIM Calcutta and is an associate of the Insurance Institute of India. We are extremely privileged to have you, sir. Thank you for your time and your presence.
My pleasure to be here.
Mr. Bhaskar Nerurkar started his career in insurance with LIC India and later worked with LIC in Bahrain before he moved on to Bajaj Alliance. He has an extensive experience in insurance policy, underwriting, servicing and claims administration, insurance process improvement and IT systems. He's earned a fellowship in both life and non-life papers from Insurance Institute of India. He is currently a senior vice president at BAGIC and he holds master's degree in statistics from Indian Statistical Institute, Kolkata, and is a certified project management professional from PMI, Pennsylvania. Thank you, Mr. Bhaskar, for your time, and we look forward to hearing your experience.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on panel. Yeah.
Mr. Neeraj Mahaeshwari is currently the CEO and co-founder of Insurance Services Private Limited, and he has over 15 years of experience in the insurance sector and has worked across 10 emerging economies in Asia and Africa. He's held several key leadership positions with Alliance and Prudential Financial and has built one of the world's largest microinsurance portfolios with 75 million client base in these stints. Mr. Neeraj recently co-founded Insure, a microinsure tech and health services provider for the emerging consumer segment in India, and he holds an MBA from the University of Oxford and a Master's of Marketing. You clearly come with a wealth of knowledge and we can't wait to hear your views on this topic. Mr. Neeraj, thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sahna. Thank you.
And our last panelist, Mr. Nitin Malik, has 7 years of experience in working with multicultural and cross-functional teams as a financial consultant. He's managed projects in emerging markets like India, Cambodia, Ethiopia, Myanmar, and Vietnam. Before working as head of emerging business at Bharti AXA, Mr. Nitin worked with Microsafe Consulting in the area of low-income customer research and inclusive finance business models. He holds a master's degree from Fletcher School at Tufts University, USA, and an MBA from Irma Anand. Thank you, Mr. Nitin, for your time, and we look forward to hearing from you in today's session. And moving on, is our moderator, Arpan. He's the head of BC and a strategist at Belstar Microfinance. He has over 12 years of experience in inclusive finance, specifically microfinance and micro-enterprise business growth and development in India, Bangladesh, Cambodia, and Myanmar. His work currently focuses on exploring growth opportunities using the inorganic route of building BC portfolio and portfolio securitization. So we're all eagerly looking forward to this session, and I encourage the panelists to interact with the attendees in the chat box and the Q&A, and I hand it over to you, Arpan.
Thank you, Sahana. Wish you all a very good day. It is indeed my honor to be moderating this important panel discussion with the esteemed microinsurance sector experts and panelists that we have today with us. Also, sincere thank you to the audience for sharing your precious time over here and in supporting us in figuring out how microinsurance can support low-income families to cope up with the crisis. So the nationwide lockdown had a devastating economic impact on low-income families, especially informal workers who became jobless overnight and have limited or no access to healthcare or social safety net. The World Bank predicts in its latest Asia Economic Focus report that COVID-19 shock will likely reinforce economic inequality in India and throughout South Asia. The report also warns that an extended COVID-19 crisis may threaten food security, especially for the most vulnerable. So that is quite something, a sketch of what COVID-19 is doing in our world. And also Mr. Craig Churchill, who also chairs Microinsurance Network, in his book Protecting the Poor, defines microinsurance as the protection of low-income people against specific perils in exchange of their regular premium payments, proportionate to the likelihood and loss of the risk involved. Rather than jargonizing it, I would just say that this definition is essentially the same as one might use for a regular insurance, except for the clearly prescribed target market, that is low-income people. So without further ado, let me share the first question with the panel. So how did microinsurance policies mitigate risk for the bottom of the pyramid during the pandemic? Any specific initiatives taken by your company or by market players which you are kind of aware of? So I would start with Mr. Samir.
Actually, Arpan, the best people to go to for this would have been, the insurance companies. But let me take a shot at this, and then, let's move to Bhaskar and Nitin. So microinsurance, just as a concept in terms of the applicability of that and the success of that in any market, including in India, my view is that yes, the primary objective has to be to address the vulnerability. The vulnerabilities of the poor, the bottom of the pyramid, and there are different definitions of the poor that different countries take. But equally, I think for it to be really successful, it has to also be profitable for the insurance manufacturers and the distributors. That is one place where I think we still have a fair bit to do across the value chain in the Indian market. So yes, to answer your question, there have been a huge, a whole lot of innovations, whether we look at the accident insurance, whether we look at health insurance, in the crop insurance space, in the innovations in the weather insurance as far as the farmers are concerned. But what has not been addressed is the elements of the value chain other than the customer acquisition. So there is a huge amount of work that still needs to be done on underwriting, for example, use of data to refine the underwriting, use of technology for claims processing and fraud prevention, and I'll sort of get into more details on that. But I think it might be useful if you so think to go to Bhaskar and Nitin and understand what the various players are doing, and of course Neeraj will be able to add a lot of value in that as well.
Sure, thank you, Mr. Samir. So as suggested, I'll move to Mr. Bhaskar for his thoughts on the question which I had shared.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Arpan, for the question. Appropriate, I think, looking at the current scenario. So I will more or less answer from the GI perspective, because I see another LI expert is there on the panel. From the GI perspective, everybody talks about health insurance. And all of us will agree that the health insurance space for bottom of pyramid Now it is taken care by all the state schemes, and PMJY beautifully addressed all the BoP. In fact, if you would have listened to PM in his Independence Day speech, no more they are talking about the bottom of pyramid for health insurance. They are talking about the missing middle, because the top segment of the society is going for private insurers, health policies. The bottom of pyramid is extremely well taken care by PMJY and RSBY and other schemes run by state and central government. And now the missing middle is being targeted for the health insurance. So yes, micro insurance per se should address this, but health insurance, I think now there is very little space left for micro insurance product to work on health insurance. Now, having said that, we have, as an industry we have come out with some corona specific product, and of course the BoP or missing middle can also take these products, and regulatory intervention brought these products. So regulator defined the product terms and condition. Regulator defined what is payable under this product, and these are very aggressively priced, affordable to all classes. These are corona specific product for pandemic. These are launched in the market, and this addresses the health insurance part of it. Now, apart from health insurance, in a GI you require other assets covering also. And I would be very honest in saying that there were schemes, but now there is not much, that there is a gap. You people have rightly identified that there are no products covering the livestock or let us say the hut and other assets of a bottom of pyramid, small entrepreneurs or workers. There are not many products in the micro insurance sector for those line of business. So that covers the health as well as the other GI sectors. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Bhaskar. So can I move to Mr. Neeraj for sharing his thoughts? He started his own venture, I'm sure. So just wanted to have his perspective as well in this.
I would like to first give a little bit, I think, how Mr. Bali had started and Mr. Nerurkar, I think, comprehended a little bit. I will not agree, may not agree with 100% with Mr. Nerurkar that the health is completely being taken care of. I would say no. No is no. Big for no for me. And I'll tell you why, for the reason. But Mr. Bali, I think, added, I think, started very important point. Apart from the customer enrollment, there's not many innovations have been done in this field. Okay, so when you enter in this segment, okay, I was an industry player for about 15 years. I have seen when the industry really bothered about it, only whether it's, you come from microfinance, and, I may criticize a little, though my career has been always, successful with microfinance industry. They only looked at the credit life insurance. And I always say that, as in a criticized manner, the credit life product does not protect the customer, it protects the microfinance, institutions. On the other side, yes, there have been innovation on the health side, but I wouldn't say, Mr. Nerurkar, I co-founded, I'm pretty young in this ecosystem. I've been a largely insurance, and my whole aim is to become a health ecosystem in India, player in India. Trust me, I've got 500,000 clients, 500,000 clients. It's very small base compared to my experience. None of them, I can vouch it. I've done the survey with the customers. We almost speak to 10,000 customers on a daily basis. They are not aware about what is Ayushman Bharat. They have not even availed it. Okay, for me, I was in Africa for about 2 years, right? I came to India, I was like, okay, Ayushman Bharat was a big name. And when I was in India before that, there was no Ayushman Bharat. And I said, okay, there's something would have been done, right? So I came to India, the product, see, I'll tell you, India, when it comes to the insurance or anybody, right? So LIC has got a 300 million policies, 30 crore policies. And all the insurance companies run behind the same customers. And I'll be very upfront, right? So what is India for them is Delhi, Mumbai, and a couple of other cities, let's say 12 or 15 cities. That beyond that, I don't think so. The real India is in towns or the small villages. So I would say that the awareness and where Mr. Bali really highlighted the point, right? Its entire focus is on the enrollment. What about the servicing? What about the awareness, the educating the customer? I don't see any innovation or really much happening on the ground. So that's a hard reality, and that's what we come in the picture. And I think you have a very interesting I think question on AI, which we'll cover later, right? So, and how we are using it. So today, like 1 billion people have got a mobile, 500 million have got a smartphone. So why we don't we use the technology to reach out to those masses? And even Ayushman Bharat government has brilliantly launched this scheme. I really appreciate that. Like it's a large segment, but I don't think so it has really reached to the needy or the person who really needs it, right? So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Neeraj. So I'll move the ball to now Nitin's court.
Can I just add for a second?
Sure.
Because I really like the energy that Neeraj brought into the table and vehemently saying that it has not reached needy. So let us say every private insurer is vying for the PMJY. We as an insurer, we have covered J&K, we have covered West Bengal, Swasthya Sathi, Telangana, Andhra has wonderful schemes, Tamil Nadu has a scheme, RSBY. I think these RSBYs and PMJY today, if you see the kind of claims that we are paying and kind of population it is covered, BoP is covered. Awareness, I will agree with him. There was an issue, but today PMJY is not about awareness. If you are in that list, you don't need enrollment. If you are in the SECC, Social and Economic Caste Census, 10.2 crore family appear there. Everybody gets PMJY cover. They don't have to have any enrollment. A lot of states have not opted for PMJY. They have their RSBY and those are covered. Awareness, I may agree with him, but schemes are very good and wonderful. I just wanted to add that. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bhaskar. So I'll ask Nitin to come up with his share of thoughts on where this industry is going in terms of serving the bottom of the pyramid during the pandemic, given his experience of working with microfinance institutions, consulting, and as well as insurance companies. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you, Arpan. So just like I sort of build on the points mentioned by Bhaskar and Neeraj, and I sort of agree with the Neeraj point that bottom of pyramid is not a segment really which has private insurers has sort of made a profitable business out of, and it's actually very tough to create a profitable model when we are talking about bottom of pyramid. And it also very interesting how we define bottom of pyramid. Here at AXA and Bharti AXA, we define emerging customers as sort of customers between government insurance schemes and the formal private insurers. So there is a customer base which is emerging, which has just above earning around 2.5 lakhs to 3 lakhs, 4 lakhs annual household income, and they are sort of emerging and growing with the economy as the per capita income of the country grows. So this is the customer base we believe can be profitably served. Having said that, there are many challenges, especially around as someone mentioned about customer service, right? Especially around health insurance. Like, how do you ensure that the customer experience of health insurance is good? Because as a life company, selling group term life is challenging to a low income customer base, but health insurance has started seeing some traction. But are we thinking about the customer experience? To give you an example, there was this recent survey done on health insurance where people were asked why you don't take health insurance, and one of the reasons is even if you take health insurance, there are no hospitals around. Like, where will they go and claim when hospitalized? And if you go and do some deep dive, people actually really don't go to hospitals. They try to do the first thing themselves, or hospitalization is even the experience of claims, and it's a complicated experience for a formal high income customer. For a low income, middle income customer, it's even more complicated. So are you thinking about that customer experience? before we talk about health insurance as a profitable model. I think I wanted to highlight this point.
Yeah, thanks, Nitin. Quite interesting.
Arpan, may I?
Yeah,
Sorry
sure,
to interrupt you.
sure,
May I come in, since we're talking about health insurance in detail?
sure.
And a lot of the panelists have spoken about that. I've actually seen some excellent products and schemes which exist in the market and which go beyond just the the government schemes or the schemes which have been launched by the insurance companies. There are players like Uplift, which operates out of Pune. There are players like Dhan. There are players like Bimo Seva, which offers excellent mutual or cooperative products. And the way they differentiate themselves and why they have been able to establish a place for themselves in the bottom of the pyramid. So their target markets, their target is the maids, the auto drivers, the people who would not otherwise buy insurance. Why have they been able to? They've been able to target those markets successfully, or those customer segments successfully, because they don't stop at just providing a product and waiting for a claim to come in. They actually provide 24-hour doctor support, who the cooperative members can go to, and that doctor will direct them to the most appropriate hospital for the problem that the patient is having, or the member is having. They go on to suggest, even educate the members in terms of what is covered under the government schemes and what is not covered. For example, only the hospitalization typically is covered. So if a person falls ill and doesn't need to be hospitalized, what happens to that? It is still a setback. It exposes a huge vulnerability as far as the members are concerned. So it is those comprehensive schemes taking care of wellness, taking care of preventive rather than reimbursement, that are needed, and that is not true only of health insurance. That is true of every insurance segment. And that is where I think the industry needs to do much more. And there are tools existing today. There is technology, there is innovation on the way data can be used. So all of that is there. It's just that the sector needs to get adequate importance, and hopefully with the two recent committee reports of IRDA, it will get that, and we will see more and more innovation happening across the value chain. So just wanted to highlight that point, that there are successful models, but not necessarily coming only from the insurance company.
Fair, very valid point. And as I was saying that, and I'm kind of excited to say that, I was reading one of very important phrase came across that basically no one really wakes up wanting to buy insurance, but people do wake up worrying about the risk they face. And I personally always feel that when it comes to microinsurance, the most critical element is the customer journey. So, and I think you guys have also very well put in over there. So my understanding of the segment is that you can still succeed with a bad product if you have a really good frictionless customer journey, but you can absolutely fail with a great product, but when there is especially a terrible customer journey. So so you guys have also talked about voluntary take up. So coming to the next question is, voluntary take up is considered to be a holy grail of microinsurance. How the latest wave of technological innovation helped to overcome the take up challenge of micro insurance products. I'll start up with Neeraj with his.
So first, I'll thank Mr. Bali for highlighting again. Very important point is, the covering the end-to-end journey of the customer, the 360 journey of the customer, which is not just insurance, right? So he really highlighted. What about the primary healthcare? What about the creating awareness about the right hospitals? What about providing them the low-cost medicines? So these are the couple of really large challenges. I'll just come to the question first, and then I'll try and also address the Mr. Bali, how we are trying to solve this problem. So yes, the voluntary buying has been the challenge, and I would agree to it. And what is the solution to it? I'll tell you, I worked in the industry for almost 10 years in microinsurance. and there was no solution. Like I could not explore any solution until 2 or 3 years back. But after visiting Africa, I would say that the 20 or 30% buying happens on voluntary. And how does it happen? It only happens through mobile. In India, somehow we have really undermined or undervalued the mobile game. Okay, how does it work? Today, I'll just give you an example today. Though our penetration is a little low to the larger audience, but we started a customer acquisition completely voluntary with one of the large microfinance player in North India. And trust me, we started with one of the difficult states, which is Bihar, and one of the state called one of the district called Muzaffarpur, right? So what we did is, using the technology, we have started segmenting a customer first of all, right? So you have to segment your customer in 2 or 3. Like I think Malik was highlighting, you need to know how much customer can really afford depending on their household income. Now, once you've done the segmentation of the customer, you start communicating them. And now the communication, if you send out, even I'll tell you, I can challenge you, even if you send out 1 million people, they will not able to educate those customers. Now, what we are doing the personalized communication on their mobile phone through IVR. And IVR, it doesn't last for more than 30, 40 seconds. And I'll tell you, there are challenges with the IVR also. It's very successful, right? So the IVR also, the IVR, let's say it's lasts for 40 seconds, they kind of cancel it in 19 seconds. Then you need to really track whether it's effective or not. And then you need to see, okay, let's say even 40 or 50% customers listening to your IVRs, you can make it a success there and focus on those customers. Similarly, it works first. And again, don't start with the sales pitch. I always say that I'm a salesman, right? I've been a salesperson all my life, but don't start with the sales pitch. Start with the consumer awareness on the product. Talk about the downside of the product. Okay, what if you do not consult with the doctor? What in the COVID time, if you visit a doctor, it's a risk to the doctor as well as to you and your family, right? So we have started with all those, and I think there's a couple of innovation. I'll not take the credit. It's my team who has done it, right? So this is what you're talking about, and the message again has to be very contextual, very relevant to them. And then we have seen the IVR success going up. The average IVR, which was lasting for 19 seconds, it has gone to 25, 27 seconds. And our achievement is to reach, because it's very difficult to communicate the message in 19 seconds, right? So and then again, we are changing customize the messages, and then the average IVR time is also increasing. So there's a couple of innovation again. So I would say the mobile is a then plus we have got a very small videos which we are posting, and now we get to know the WhatsApp is a challenge. Not all the customer will have a WhatsApp. So you need to first identify a customer who got a WhatsApp. Those do not have the WhatsApp, you can send a link, a small video link or the graphics. Or those do not have a WhatsApp phone, smartphone, then you can use IVR. So there's a couple of SMS somewhere get lost in the process. Very frankly, I'm sure you would see a cell phones and you'll find thousands of 100 SMSs. So I'm not very big fan of SMS. They don't really, and the education level is so low, they don't want to read the SMS. If they're an account, they only see the balance. They don't read what is there in the account balance. So these are things I think which is couple of interesting point. We have included in our customer, and that's how the voluntary, and you have to have a patience with the voluntary. And I understand it's a cost, but trust me, the cost is really less if you send out 1 million population on the field to educate them, and it's not possible. And okay, I can really criticize even my model. In Bajaj, we used to educate when I headed the microfinance business. We used to do a lot of nukkar nataks. It doesn't impact people. It will impact some section. 50,000 customer lakh. You're trying to talk 1 million volume, right? How will you educate them? They're the point which can really help. Like going for the voluntary and attracting the customer on the voluntary model. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Neeraj. I'll ask Mr. Bhaskar to share his thoughts as well in this regard.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So what Samir, or I think even to some extent Neeraj was talking about segmentation. What we are referring, these drivers or maids, they are the missing middle. They are not BoP per se from government of India's point of view. And this BoP to some extent is penetrated by microfinance. Hats off. I think there are loans given for cycles in the small padas and wadis and loans given for even the livestocks by some of the microfinance companies. Now the second question is, and the major challenge in insurance, if it has to be voluntary, is the distribution. As Neeraj rightly said, it's a very small margin for distribution that we will be able to offer. The premium is small, the distribution margin is very small. Nobody will do that thankless job at visiting those small padas or conducting those this thing, and for that such a small thing. So technology is the way forward. Currently, most of these sort of products are piggy banking on the microfinance institutions only. So in a MFI, when they are releasing a loan, most of the companies have this group hospital. That is one product which is very popular in as a micro insurance in with the MFIs, and it is a very simple health product that it is simply says that if you are admitted for 2 days, you get 2,000 rupees. Nothing is required. You just give PHC's discharge voucher or just a medicine receipt that you are there for 2 days, and you get 2,000 rupees or 3,000 rupees. So such products are really required for that segment. But as Neeraj is rightly pointing out, reaching them, distributing that is a challenge today. Microfinance is the only way by which we are reaching there. Technology should give us some way forward. WhatsApp, as he rightly pointed out, it's not it. They don't even open. Most of them don't know WhatsApp. SMS is not a this thing. So only MFI, or I will just I come from public sector, so I will say only institution in this country which was able to reach every household was post office. So had anything been distributed through post office like this microinsurance, it would have reached every home. Believe me, no other institution in this country has ever managed to reach that last mile in this thing. And maybe now technology may provide us some solution. We look forward to what Neeraj and other technology innovators have to offer us.
Yeah, thank you, Bhaskar. I think, yeah, very well put in. I always feel that, especially with microinsurance, it is more of a distribution challenge rather than a product level challenge. So with this, I'll ask Nitin to share his thoughts with us. Yeah, can hear you now, I think.
So like I can share what has been the experience so far, like on voluntary take-up of microinsurance in India especially. And so regulators have done a lot of innovations, like we have POS kind of products where a point of sale agent can sell the product, and then we had those kind of other individual products, but the experience so far has not been really good, in the sense like not POS products have not made much sales. I think as per the latest report, only less than 2% of the business is done as voluntary or overall of the overall business, and microinsurance remains overwhelmingly a group business. And this is where I think our technology will going to play a role. And how can we make sure that using technology, as Mr. Neeraj mentioned, like can we solve the distribution challenge? And the one of the things which comes up is like microfinance has been able to solve that challenge. Like they have made the person-on-person distribution model successful, because in credit the margins are right and there is a great demand pull. But can we do the same in microinsurance? That has been a challenge, and no, I haven't seen a scalable model where a person-to-person insurance business has been successful. But we should see like either pure, I think Mr. Samir was mentioning about technology, and also there are models around telemedicine, which can like sort of that bring that customer understanding, where customer voluntarily go and call. Like right now we are seeing in the upper income segments that people voluntarily take up health insurance. Like they go and think like we need a health insurance. Can we bring that customer understanding which creates a demand for insurance? Once there is a demand building up, then people will come and take that insurance. So I think it's still a challenge for voluntary take up, but we are very hopeful.
Yeah, thanks, Nitin. So before coming to Samir, I just had a thought that wanted to bring in a fresh perspective. What could be the major reason of that voluntary take-up is not going ahead up? Is majorly it is because of the trust factor that people are lacking. What are your thoughts in that, Mr. Samir?
So, I agree with the panelists that, the incremental change in terms of penetration will, in the first level come from stepping up the distribution, right? So there are examples. I mean, India has actually done a lot as far as distribution is concerned. The bancassurance model is very successful. So rightly implemented, even that can, with the large number of Jandhan accounts, it can actually extend to offering insurance as well. So even that can give you, just in terms of numbers, it can ramp up the penetration. There are, Neeraj spoke about mobile, initiatives of mobile network being used or mobile operators being used. There are success stories in the African market, where they offer freemium, what they call freemium products, where an initial product is offered free. The base product is offered free, which is a part of the, the standard normal tariff. And then once the customer has seen the benefits of that insurance, they buy more insurance. That is one way of pulling the customer, into the fold of insurance. The IRDA, the two committees that the IRDA reports that have come out, one is on the standalone microinsurance company, has talked of new concepts of allowing, cooperatives and allowing cell captives as distribution channels to further the penetration. Where I slightly differ from the other panelists is that I think the fundamental change and the massive penetration of this segment can only come through a drastic revisiting across the value chain. Let me elaborate on my point. The products, like in banking, all of you have worked, you have worked in the microfinance sector as well. The products that the banking sector offers and the products that the insurance sector offers, unfortunately, even for the microinsurance segment, are dumbed down versions of the standard product, right? They're not developed for the poor. They're not developed for that particular target customer segment. The problem is that it's very high cost, right? You cannot possibly customize to that level. The insurance companies are right in saying that we cannot possibly do it. My point is, today, with technology being available, so for example, getting all the information that the insured, potential insured, has to offer through a proposal form. The problem has been that the proposal forms have not been, in vernacular languages. Today with NLP and today with tools like Mehoop and tools like Digivarta, offering multiple languages to and voice being translated to text, you can actually collect the information, all the information that you need to underwrite. You can have different underwriting or risk assessment models using big data and using technology. There is a whole host of information that is available through multiple other sources which you can supplement in order to arrive at your risk decision making. You can reduce your cost of management, your management expenses, in serving those customers by having automated issuance of policies. You can reduce your incurred claim ratios by pricing your product appropriately and having straight through processing of claims. All this will even make your product cheaper than what is currently being offered in the market. So it is this comprehensive change. And of course, I should mention, of course, the fact that there are reinsurers who are more than willing to offer support, to large scale, products and customer segments being targeted. People like Munich Re, Swiss Re do a lot of work in the microinsurance space. RGA does a lot of work in the microinsurance space. They're ready to offer support. So with a combination of all this, with a fundamental overhaul of basing the products on the customer needs and then servicing them, as you said, the customer journey, defining the customer journey, appropriate to a particular customer segment, that's when the voluntary uptake will be maximized. Not just by incremental tinkering with the products and the distribution channels.
Thank you, Samir. Really exciting to know that. Let me move to the third question, and it is specifically for the insurance companies represented by Nitin and Bhaskar. So as insurance companies go about on the whole product development path, what are the challenges you face as insurance companies? So I'll start up with Nitin.
Hello. So I sort of agree with what Mr. Samir Bali said on this. Like, you don't have to miniaturize traditional products to make them microinsurance, but you have to take a bottom-up approach and going back to the customer and from there developing a product. And that is the challenge. So it requires rethinking your whole value chain, which is like not traditionally done in insurance markets. Like you have a way of developing products for a significant segment where you have their income statements, you have their salaries, and you have so many things, and you have a certain database already present where you can price their lives. But when it comes to bottom up markets, same kind of data will not make sense. So you have to think of proxies and you have to go back to the customer and do a bottom up product development. And that bottom up thinking requires a sea change at organizational level. So that is one of the challenge. And also, I think it's but so much work has been done on this. Like you also need to rethink your operating model. And that's where like many new models have come up, where especially the mobile recharge one, where you can get a freemium model and you can top it up to more personal accident and more covers and do that. So this is like a rethinking of your operating model when you get it freemium, and when somebody uses it, he gets used to an insurance product, then his willingness to buy another insurance or increasing product uptake increases. So this is the kind of models which have worked. And to summarize, like the challenges are like, how do you rethink your whole pricing game from a bottom-up perspective, and totally rethinking your what kind of data you use to do pricing, and how do you assess these risks, because these risks will be different from a typical customer which insurance companies are used to making products for. So this is a different, just to give an example how it works, like in India, around, I think more than 90% of the economy is informal only. 7% of the country pay income tax. So approximately, and so the products have been developed for that segment. But when it comes to the informal economy, for example, a taxi driver or for a person who's running his kirana shop or a micro enterprise, how are you going to get data for that customer, and how are you going to assess his willingness to pay? So these are the challenges which I think really needs us to deep dive into these issues.
Okay, thanks, Nitin. Mr. Bhaskar, would you like to add on to the points Nitin mentioned?
Yeah, I think there are 3-4 questions on the Q&A session, and one of the question is rightly saying that bottom-up pyramid is ultra poor. Today, only social schemes are reaching them. So even if you go back in the history, there is something called LALG, Landless Agricultural Group Insurance, or IRDB, Integrated Rural Development Program, that were giving them minimal coverage. Even if you go through the IRDA guidelines, regulatory guidelines on this, it says that the asset coverage, earlier it was hardly 50,000, now they are saying maximum sum assured is up to 1 lakh. So maximum sum assured for a house is 1 lakh. So you can imagine what sort of segment is to be targeted by microinsurance. Now your question is absolutely perfect, that what are the challenges in product development? So any insurance product, I think 4 of us are here. IRDA has already defined the margin. What is the distribution margin? 15%. Then IRDA regulator has also put a restriction on how much insurance company can spend on logistic. The premium size is very small. So with that sort of margins and distribution, this is in mind, until and unless, as Neeraj was saying, there is some technological way of distributing that to the last mile, devising a product actually which is really affordable by the ultra poor. is a challenging task today. So until and unless that distribution cost 15%, suppose I say, let us take example, 100 rupees is a premium. So somebody has to deliver that product, distribute that product at a 15 rupees cost, and I should be able to manage claims and every other cost within 15 rupees. So there are very little margins to work around, and then we can cover. So it's a very, very challenging task in today's this thing, where the last mile delivery and even the logistic server, logistic delivery is a problem. Just last point I want to add, why group hospital cash is today's success in the market, because the microfinance agent which goes to collect the premium itself, he says that, okay, you are in hospital, so he just gets sign and collect his form and brings back to the insurance company, and insurance company gives those microfinance, this group hospital cash benefit to the customer. So the logistic is figure riding on the microfinance company's logistic. Otherwise, delivering that product at such a smaller cost and designing a product to that level is a real challenge. Pricing is a main challenge, and the logistic that is required is a challenge when you design such a product.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Bhaskar. So I have next question for the experts, Mr. Samir and Neeraj. So can you guys suggest some best industry practices of AI usage to improve the market penetration of microinsurance within the country? I'll request Mr. Neeraj to start.
Yeah, so frankly, what's really happening in an existing manner, I wouldn't say no, I would not agree. Okay, though I think the practices have started, as I was highlighting, right? So currently, and I just go back to the very interesting point. I think Mr. Nerurkar made two interesting points, and then because I don't want to lose in those important points, and then I'll come to your question as well. One is Mr. Nerurkar highlighted, the actually insurance company. So I'll go back to a very interesting point. I joined insurance industry in 2005. Okay, when the ULIP charges on the ULIP product used to be 50 or 60%, right? The today charges on the ULIP products are 5%. Okay, now that was happening to the classic customer, which is a largely Indian population who buys insurance. I'm not saying buying insurance for the tax purpose, right? So now on the other side, I feel really bad, okay, and I'm not really criticizing regulator, but I do support them. We have come a long way, but the regulator, I think, treats the microinsurance also in the same way, right? If they come up with the microinsurance regulation, on the day one, if you tell them that you have to manage your expenses on 15%, I think it's not fair to the industry or the players, right? What they should be, regulators should be concerned about it, and I have a very, in that some of my understanding, largely, the regulators should tell the insurance companies that if you get 100 rupees, you need to pay this much minimum to the claim. So there is no exploitation to the customer. But they should, as far as the expenses, like there are a lot of innovation. We are covering largely microfinance industry. Microfinance industry only cover 10 crore customer. What is largely next 40, 50 crore customers? RRB channels has got a regional rural bank who got 15 crore customers. Cooperative addresses around 15 crore base. Telco has a larger base. Like if you did not give them some liberty, give them some liberty for 5 years. Okay, you are free to maintain. Insurance company, I come from the ULIP era where the charge was 70% to the customer. 30% used to credit it to his fund. Similarly, on the traditional insurance product, life insurance product, the margin of 50-60%. I should not say this officially, but this is the reality, right? So why not this comes to the microinsurance products as well? Insurance should be given some sort of, or the new, I would hope, I think Mr. Bali is in the forum now. I think he will communicate to the committees. It's important, do not pressurize them, tell them what is the minimum claim ratio they have to maintain rather than the operating cost, right? Let them design the operating cost, give them some liberty. That's now coming to your question. As I told you, we are doing, addressing this problem with communication on a mobile and everything. We are doing the segmentation, awareness, everything on a mobile. We are trying to helping them, educating the customer. This will answer one of the interesting questions which you have from one of the I think attendees is how do you educate? So do not, education, customer education again is very limited. Okay, you, like, I think one of the hospi cash, you pay this much. No, it's not about the hospi cash. The first insurance company or player like us, who are the startup ecosystem, they should focus on creating the better health for the customer. Talk to the women about the sexual health. Talk to about the menstrual hygiene. Then you can have a better claim ratio as well, right? So these are the challenge. All these things have to be mixed, and the solution have to be bundled and give it to the customer. And we are doing in the similar way. We launch first health product, and then we realize, okay, we are not able to address the whole situation. What we have started the first product. What we go to the customer is, we send them the monthly message, and every month we have a different agenda which educate the women clients. Majority of our women clients, because we work with microfinance institutions, we educate them on the family health, their good health, and everything. On the second line, then the product communication goes. But on the product, what we have inbuilt is a telemedicine. Okay, if you, unfortunately, you're taking care of good health, unfortunately you fall sick, you call up a call center, you have a doctor assistance. Once you're giving a doctor assistance and the doctor said, no, you're really sick, you need to go to the hospital, then actually the insurance company or insurance product comes into the picture. So you need to maintain the whole product life cycle, and trust me, it is affordable to the customer. Yes, BoP, I would agree with Mr. Nerurkar. It's largely has to be addressed by the government. The private insurance player will not able to make, or it won't be substantial and the sustainable for them. So to make it sustainable, let them have some freedom on the normal products, and let them run the social products. Will be little bit of charity angle will be required.
Thank you, Neeraj. Really insightful. I'll request Mr. Samir to share his thoughts as well.
Yeah, so I'll just supplement some thoughts that I have on what the others have said. I think your specific question was around the use of artificial intelligence, but I would sort of expand it to not just AI, but there is machine learning, there is blockchain, there are a whole host of other digital initiatives which are being worked on, and I think are extremely relevant as far as the segments which have not been traditionally targeted by the insurance companies. So let me give you an example. At the starting of the value chain, starting of the insurance value chain, of course, is the understanding of the customer and the development of products, or even the segmentation, which a lot of the panelists have spoken about. Large quantum of data, can today be analyzed. You can use analytics, you can use data sciences, you can use AI tools to segment appropriately so that the right product can be devised. Nitin also spoke about the fact that we need to, come up with bottom-up development of products. So that the only way that will happen is through large, technology initiatives being implemented. And this will not happen only for the microinsurance segment. For example, even the recent committee report, if you read that, they recognize that this is not going to be done at the individual microinsurance company. They're talking of creating a platform, a technology platform, which is common, which is shared across all the standalone microinsurance companies. So things, out of the box initiatives like that will have to be thought of and implemented. The next element of the value chain is then the customer awareness. On that, again, I feel, and again, Madhu had a question about awareness and products for specifically for women. Nitin and Mr. Bhaskar can add to that, but I have seen more of that happening, where the products are being developed by the mutuals or the cooperatives or the NGOs or the intermediaries, and then taken to the insurance companies for sort of capital support. Right. So the more of that is happening among the intermediaries and the sort of associated distribution partners. I digress. The point that I was making on awareness is that today we actually need more than just product awareness. We need process awareness as more and more technology gets implemented. So how do you use chatbots? How do you use mobile technology to understand products and claim processing? How do you use the mobile to lodge a claim and to track your claim settlement. For that, at least to begin with, you will need to train the make the intermediaries, whether it's the agents or the corporate agents or the NGOs, make them more aware and make them more technology savvy. And again, that that can then percolate down to the end customers. There is also innovation, a lot of innovation that is being that is on the cards as far as claims processing is concerned. Not all claims, especially as far as the standard claims are concerned, not all of them. And again, Mr. Bhaskar spoke about hospital cash claims. Why do they even need to be processed by a human, by a claims assessor? They can straight away be processed by a machine learning engine and paid into the account of the policyholder. Again, reduces your expenses, reduces your management expenses, also prevents fraud. Because the moment you have technology, doing these large scale claim assessments, your fraud prevention tools can get built into the technology initiatives. So, across all of these, across all the elements of the value chain, blockchain actually is helping in a huge manner. I shouldn't say huge manner, but there are beginnings that are being made in weather and crop insurance. And as far as the MSMEs are concerned, as far as, assessing traceability of the stocks which are being stored in the, with the MSMEs or the marine, the transit insurance, which the MSME needs. So, a lot of the data gaps can be filled in through the new technologies for the insurance companies to be able to price, develop the products, price the products, and settle the claims and administer the claims appropriately. If I can just make one more point, at some level, it also needs, fundamental regulatory change. So microinsurance, standalone microinsurance companies is obviously a solution that is being thought of. But there are solutions in international markets like managed general agents, who do not put in the capital themselves. They use the capital of the insurance company, but participate in the profit or otherwise of the segment that they're targeting. So if things like this, if NGA or cell captives, new initiatives are implemented, I think many more players will be interested in supplementing the insurance companies' efforts to target appropriately the excluded segments.
I'll just add a couple of points here to what Mr. Bali and what practices we are following currently. I think he rightly mentioned we are using analytics today to educate the customer and for the penetration. How we use analytics? Today we have customers in 16 states. Okay. And based on the understanding level, so first of all, we have made certain procedures that there's a customer call goes to the customer. We do obviously selective surveys. And then based on let's say Kerala has got a highest awareness, obviously then we kind of educate less on the customer, but then we identify based on the analytics, where the really queries coming from the customer, we educate the customer in the rest of the state where the penetration, education, awareness levels have been low. And what we've really done, and we are able to improve our claims with the education understanding, and then we penetrate the education levels in those states, which has got a lesser, using the analytics, which has got a lesser product awareness. And then we have seen the claims rising from those other states. On the other side, I think Mr. Bali again highlighted, and what we are doing today, during the COVID, there were 3 months. Initially, we had a WhatsApp claim procedure, but we did not really use it. During the COVID, 90% of our claims processed only on WhatsApp. So our customer, when we are coming out of the hospital, send a screenshot of the claim of the hospital bills. We're receiving it, processing to the insurance company, and we have settled some of the claims. And I would also appreciate the support from the insurance company. We settled some of the claim within 3 to 5 days. When the customer coming out of which earlier used to take 60 to 70 days, and that's completely on the WhatsApp. We have done it, and there's no rocket science. Frankly, it's very simple. The customer, if he doesn't have a WhatsApp, we tell him to take help of his friends or family just to send a screenshot.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Neeraj. Really important points made over there. So I have completed my set of questions. let me jump into a few of the questions which we have received from the audience. During the course of this discussion, also we came up with the recent committee on standalone microinsurance recommendation, which has come up, I think last week. In the month of August, they had submitted the report, if I'm not wrong. So they have recommended for reduction in initial capital from 100 to 20 crores. And now cooperatives and mutuals can also become insurance company. So I'll start up with Mr. Samir, that how do you see the suggestions of the report, and then we'll come to other panelists as well.
No, I think that, I mean, I've touched on some of the recommendations, in my earlier comments as well, but I think they're extremely progressive. Other than the 1 point of MGA, which has been discussed with IRDA, and hopefully, they might sort of take that up as well. I think the standalone microinsurance company with a lower capital, with a much enhanced distribution network, and they've thought through everything. They've thought through, how the method for required solvency margin calculation, the expenses of management, how they can potentially be reduced, a common technology platform across, all the microinsurance players. So I think it's very progressive, and I think it is not just a committee recommendation, because even earlier when the IRDA, I think a few months back, I think in 2019, when they had come up with, IRDA had come up with another microinsurance, report, one of the recommendations was standalone microinsurance companies. And this is more in terms of, this report now looks at in terms of operationalizing those standalone companies. How is that going to get implemented? So I think in terms of regulatory structures, we will have, sooner rather than later, the appropriate structures in place. The technology, a common technology platform will be there, but on top of that, each of the companies will need to look at, more initiatives around AI, ML, blockchain, big data, and analytics, to serve their particular customers better. And what is great is that the mutual model, which has been working well in parallel with the insurance companies, has been recognized as a successful model, and the mutuals and cooperatives are also going to be allowed to participate. So I think that I have a lot of optimism around the suggestions that have come in. And I think the bill at the IRDA is there to implement these as soon as possible.
Thank you. Yeah. So may I request Mr. Bhaskar if he has some other observations regarding the report?
Yeah, thank you. So the question is that whether having a standalone microinsurance companies will help. So that will surely help. We have seen when the standalone health insurance company came, they expanded the pie, they expanded the business, they found out the way to penetrate the market. And as Neeraj and Samir is saying, innovation came when those standalone health insurance company came. So standalone microinsurance company will surely expand the market. They will come out with the ways to penetrate further. And it's a good idea to have a standalone microinsurance company. I'm sure Samir must be working in the committee, and some of the suggestions will be initially, as Neeraj was saying, there should be some support from the regulatory side to give them free hand to penetrate the market. Like even today, all the insurance companies are supposed to have a social and rural obligation. 7% business should come from this thing for us, and it should increase. So some this thing leeway has to be given in initial years to these standalone companies from the regulatory perspective, so that they penetrate the market and they set up that business. When others will see that success, they will also follow the suit, and the competition will only benefit the end customer in the ultra poor category that we are.
Yeah, thank you, Bhaskar. Neeraj, do you have any other specific point other than this?
I think it's good. I think Africa has seen Nigeria and Kenya have got a standalone. I think Nigeria Alliance was setting up. It's gonna help. In another way is it's gonna bring a lot of focus. Okay, when being example I would give that large players. I think SDFC and Bajaj both have been the large player in life insurance, and Bajaj has been the significant leader in the non-life for the micro and rural. Uh, they also have a certain, they cannot. When I was in Bajaj, they used to say, okay, you need to cap micro insurance to a certain. They cannot look beyond 25% customer base beyond, or the top line coming from beyond micro insurance, right? They want to balance. They need to maintain the cost ratios, everything. On the other side, it's also very important, there've been some like microfinance industry evolved, and the similarly, you have seen in Bangladesh, right? So all these things have really helped in targeting the segmenting the customer, which is not happening today. All the public sector bank largely address the priority sector issues, right? So these are things, I think, when you have really focused approach, it really works, and we get to see some results as well in coming future, right?
Yeah, thanks, Neeraj. Nitin, would you like to add something?
Yeah, Arpan, just to add 2 points, I think everyone made excellent points on this. But you and we know both like how microfinance sector has, when we have a separate license on microfinance sector, and how it led to innovation and development of the sector further. Like banks never took microfinance as a segment seriously because they don't understand, first of all, and they have a bigger pie to chase. So you need companies who think like that for the bottom of pyramid and go after that segment from that thinking. And I see a similar evolution in the microinsurance space, which we see after the committee report on microfinance after the Andhra AP crisis, and sort of developed the sector whole. And now it's like, and if you go around Southeast Asia, everybody looks at Indian microfinance space as an innovative sector. We get the best. I think we have one of the lowest operating models, operating cost in the world right now, and because of the technology and the digital and a focused play by microfinance players. And I am very hopeful that the similar thing will happen in the micro insurance space also.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks, Nitin. Another question, I think Mr. Samir tried answering that, was shared in the Q&A box by Madhu regarding as women are more disadvantaged and vulnerable to risk of health, livelihood, etc., as compared to the male counterparts, especially in rural areas. She's interested to know if some special awareness generation schemes have been designed for women, or what are the other general awareness schemes for them. I'll request Mr. Bhaskar to answer this.
I think his screen is frozen.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's back now.
He's back, yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I think I read the question. I missed your communication because of the network problem. It's very bad, pretty bad here. So the questions are very appropriate. And let me be very honest in the panel saying that not that I am aware of any women education program that are being run by the insurance companies. There are some sporadic events. Then around Women's Day, there will be some program, some minor fund of CSR will be diverted, but there is no sustained effort. And the question is very, very relevant because in the BoP, the woman in the house is a very major factor. Means she controls almost the entire economy and ecology health of that family. It's the rural families, the BoP families are highly dependent on women. And these women really make that family survive through all the times. And very relevant question, but I have taken a note. And at least to my knowledge, there is no sustained effort to get that awareness to the women. Maybe around that our 8th March Women's Day, some sporadic event happen here and there. So that will be my take on it.
I think I'll just take up this question. I think it's really important. I think the what Madhu is asking, and we have seen a really massive challenge. So one of the way the government and the private entities are using today is ASHA workers. Okay, so there are about 150,000 ASHA workers mapped to 6 lakh villages. Okay, so one today, let's say there is a one for every 4 villages, there is a one ASHA worker, and I think how the real efforts will come in when there is an increase in ASHA worker, and the efforts are being taken as I think but as Bhaskar mentioned, it's not a sustainable effort, so it has to be either plugged in with the product or run as a separate parallel non-profit entities, or the simultaneously CSR efforts of the large insurance companies or the banks or any other entities. So far, and another very question is, I think Bhaskar addressed very in an important manner, and we have experienced that the women actually take the decision for the family's health, and largely. So we even receive a call when the man who is actually sick, he doesn't want to speak to doctor, and the women speak on behalf of the men, right, or the kids or the senior citizen, and that's very important highlight. I think and it's so women have to be included in the system of creating awareness about their health, their family health, and I would be really positive, and I'm very positive about how ASHA worker should be including in the whole system, and should help, and they should be in the future. If they're 150,000, I'm sure the government should, or everyone should put an effort to reach a 6 lakh, so they are at least mapped to one every village, and I think, and then we can address the issue.
Thanks, Neeraj. Any other panelists would like to put in? I think Samir has already done that. Nitin, you have anything to add on to it?
Only thing is, like, on women, since we are speaking about women, I would say, like, one of the missing piece in insurance, and speaking from a life insurance perspective, is building a good savings plus insurance endowment product for women. I think that's a missing piece in the product, and if anybody can crack it successfully, that will provide, and there's a real need, and we have seen in PMJDY how much savings have been mobilized in the last 5 years. All this saving was outside the system, and it suddenly came into the formal system, and I think average account balance doubled from initial 2016 to 2019. So there is this large amount of savings lying in now in the formal system. Can insurance tap into it and could create further products for them? Like, now they're in the formal system. Let's see if we can build insurance products for them. I think especially women will be key in that play in go-to market.
Okay. Yeah. So I think we have already shot by 13 minutes, and I think we need to wrap up now. So we have sort of raised some pertinent points, gained knowledge on the opportunities and the benefits of driving the microinsurance take-up and use for the low-income clients. Thank you, panelists, for your perspective, and hope we are able to address various aspects of microinsurance for the bottom of the pyramid customers. We are really appreciative of you to sharing insights on microinsurance from the field. Thank you very much, audience, for coming out with interesting questions and your participation. We had sort of more questions to address, but because of the paucity of time, probably we'll have some other forum to kind of discuss that. I'll request Sahna to take over the proceedings.
Thanks, Arpan, for moderating the session. It's indeed a very, very niche topic, but a very important topic. So it was a very thought-provoking session, and I think us as Hand in Hand Academy, Hand in Hand India, there's lots we take away, and hopefully we can also work together with insurance companies and experts like all of you to improve the penetration through the various means we've discussed. So thank you, panelists, very much for your time. It was truly very thought-provoking, 1 hour, 15 minutes. Had close to 120 attendees through the session. So thank you so much again for your time, and we hope that we stay in touch. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Sahna.
you.
Thank you, Arpan.
Thanks,
Thank
Arpan.
you.
Thanks, Sahana.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Bali.
everybody.
Thank you, Bhaskar.
Yeah,
Thank you,
so
Nitin.
much.
Thank you, Sana.
Thank you so much. Thank you.